Welcome to another episode of Jikoni Magic's Meza. Today we are cooking Mbuzi leg that is stuffed with a very tasty mixture of mushrooms and vegetables. I served it with some potato wedges that I roasted in the oven and some kachumbari or salsa. I started off by making the stuffing for the mbuzi by adding 2 tablespoons unsalted butter to the pan. And yes, you can use Blue Band here because many of you ask me if it's okay to use it. Then I added 1 medium-sized onion that was sliced to the melted butter, and once it started turning translucent, I added 1 tablespoon of ginger and garlic that I had finely minced. After a minute, I added 200 grams of button mushrooms along with some salt to help in drawing out the moisture faster in order for them to caramelize faster. And since the mixture was on the dry side, I added half a tablespoon of unsalted butter. I also added freshly cracked black pepper to the pan. After about a minute, I also added 1 teaspoon green chilli paste and mixed it in. This was after about 10 minutes of cooking the mushrooms on medium heat, and they had caramelized beautifully. So this is when I added a whole bunch of spinach, the one that goes for 20 bob in Kenya, to the pan along with a handful of green hohos or bell pepper. The aim was to wilt the spinach for it to lose most of its moisture, but not to cook it through. Once the spinach had wilted, I added 1 tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice because of its fantastic citrusy tanginess. Please don't make the mistake of covering your pan because the spinach will sweat and produce a lot of water. After I was satisfied with how the spinach was looking, I turned off the heat and then added 1 teaspoon of lemon rind. Adding it with the heat turned off ensures that the flavor stays potent for as long as possible. Then I set it aside to cool off completely. Next, I transferred the mixture onto my chopping board and proceeded to chop it into smaller pieces. And to the mixture, I added a 1/4 cup cashew nuts that are salted, a handful of fresh basil leaves, handful of fresh parsley, and 1 teaspoon of fresh thyme. I also added a 1/4 cup cheddar cheese, which is optional. I added mostly for its flavor. I then continued to chop some more and ensure that everything was well mixed, then set it aside. Here is the mbuzi leg already deboned. This is the lower thigh and the upper thigh. I'm sure you understand what I mean because I'm not sure of their technical names. I took a trip to Kiamaiko at Huruma Estate. If you're in Nairobi, I'm sure you know of it or have been there. Very famous for their very fairly priced goat meat. I bought this goat for 330 Kenya shillings per kilo. Anyway, moving on. I needed to pound it to make it even in thickness to promote even cooking. I didn't want to end up with some parts being overcooked while others were undercooked. After a few minutes, I was done, and this is how the meat looked like. Next, I salted the mbuzi very generously because I didn't want bland meat. And lots of freshly cracked black pepper. And don't worry, this mbuzi meat can take the black pepper, so don't be afraid. Then I placed the stuffing in the middle of the mbuzi leg. Be generous with the stuffing, but don't fill it too much because you'll have a problem folding it up. Fold as best as you can, ensuring that the filling doesn't spill out, then place it seam side down. I used sisal string to ensure that the goat meat didn't open in the midst of cooking. You can use butcher's twine if you have it. I have such a lot of this sisal twine in the house. If I need to use any for my cooking, I wash it thoroughly and dry it. It's natural fiber, so I'm very comfortable with it in my cooking because I am sure that it's not going to leave any chemical residue behind. I also believe in being practical and substituting what I lack in my kitchen. So if you're like me and don't have butcher's twine, give this sisal a try. Then once you're done, cut off any hanging threads using your kitchen scissors. Next, apply some bit of oil on top of the goat. It will help the salt and black pepper and any other spices that you might want to apply to stick on it. I did the same for the second piece of mbuzi while off camera. And now all I'm doing is placing some rosemary sprigs on the mbuzi to add to the flavor. The combination of goat and rosemary is just phenomenal. And since the mbuzi leg was to be accompanied by potato wedges, I decided to bake them together and kill two birds with one stone. Plus the drippings from the mbuzi are absolutely worth it when they mix with the potato wedges. I set the oven at 180 degrees centigrade and baked the mbuzi for an hour and 20 minutes. I was aiming for well done. Adjust the timings accordingly to suit your preferred degree of doneness. So here we are, potato wedges beautifully browned and looking all scrumptious. And the stuffed mbuzi leg looking very succulent indeed. I covered the goat with foil paper and left it to rest for about 20 minutes for the juices to redistribute themselves. And here is what we've all been waiting for, the finished product. Looking very tender and juicy. It had a hint of pink inside, which was okay because the juices from the mbuzi were clear. I hope that I've offered a practical alternative to our normal Kenyan mbuzi choma. So make sure that you slot it into your meal plan during this upcoming holiday season. Until next time, God willing, I've been yours truly, Jikoni Magic. Kwaherini ya kuonana.